Good morning, crafty friends. This is Maria over at She's a Creative Girl. Thank you for joining me today. I am so sorry I did not post anything last Wednesday. I am trying my best to do something for my channel every Wednesday, but it's not working out for me. I've got a lot on my plate. I just finished teaching a junk journal class. I was last week or the week before over at Big Mouth Scrappers, and I've got that off my desk, and now I'm working on the Halloween project. So at the store, we do have an event that we do every year. It's called All Hallows Eve, and I'm going to be teaching a junk journal this year. I'm going to be using this paper right here. This is a Magic Spell by Prima, Frank Garcia. I'm going to be creating a junk journal for that. That's going to be in October, I believe, or September. And then I'm also going to be making some cards. So one of the things that I really wanted to show you today was how I do my cards. So let me show you the one that I did. So this card was a card that I made maybe a couple of years ago for my friend. There's not a whole lot of friends that I have that do the Halloween cards, but I know she loves Halloween, so I made this for her. And I wanted to do these for the classes that I'm going to be teaching at Big Mouth. So one of the things I did not want to do is Copic color every single one that I was going to have to make. So there's usually about maybe 20 something people there. And I did not want to have to color 28 of these, 28 of those, 28 of the other ones, and so on, because I don't want to be coloring all day. So what I do is I color them on my iPad. So I use Procreate on my iPad, but I use this to do coloring, and I'm going to show you just a little bit of how I do it. I'm probably not going to do like a full tutorial on how I do it. There's so many tutorials out there on YouTube, and I just do whatever's work for me because I'm not a pro at this. I do what works for me, and it's one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm always forgetting what brush I was using, but I'll kind of just give you a little overview when I get ready to do that. So I wanted to show you the little girl that I just did. I colored her on my Copics. Let's see, here she is. So when I colored her on here, whoops, I use a Copic palette. I did purchase a Copic palette from someone on Etsy who had already created the palette, and I used that to be able to make them look almost identical. So if you were to look at this one here and that one, this is a printed version, okay? And this is the one that I colored by hand. It's pretty close, isn't it? This is why I love this. You almost can't tell the difference. To me, the ones with the on the iPad was a little bit sharper because I didn't have a very thick tip to mess with. When I'm coloring with my Copics, it's really hard to get those really big tips into those tiny areas without going out of the line. And with this, I have more control because I can really enlarge an image, and I can go back and erase anything around the image that I might have added by mistake. So like I said, I'm not going to turn this into a tutorial, but I just wanted to show you how I did that. I may do a tutorial maybe for the next Wednesday. If I can color something, I will do that. All right, so this is one that I did, and I want to show you another one that I did. So one of the things I do love about this, the Procreate, let me just find my image first. So there she is. Isn't she lovely? I love her. So after I colored her and printed her, I found some more things in here that I could have used to make it better. And I'm going to show you what those are in a minute. Okay, so here is my hand version. Okay, this is the one that colored by hand. And this is the one that I did on Procreate. To me, this one looks sharper. And I did use a different gray. As you can see, this is more of a warm gray, and this is probably a cool gray. So what I did here is I put a light shadow around each one because I'm going to have to cut them up for my kits. So anyway, so let me just show you really quick some of the things I could have done better. So when you are looking at the brushes on here, there's so many brushes. You have your sketching You've got like pencils in here. I love to use the pencils. They feel just like regular pencils when I'm coloring. There's some sketching. I think I just duplicated that one. There's inking. You've got pens. You've got markers. There's drawing. This is the little artsy stuff. There's painting, like round brushes, flat brushes, acrylic brushes, watercolor brushes. You've got the artistic kind of brushes here. You've got calligraphy. So basically all the brushes are different. This is, I go to a lot to this one. This is my go-to because these are the airbrushes and I kind of fill in things faster with the airbrush. But then I discovered textures. So this is where I was playing around with this little girl. And I actually loved what I saw. So there's some more. There's charcoals. There's elements like water, smoke, clouds, crystals, spray paints, and materials. So here is where I found a lot of stuff that I liked. So I have here textures for hair. So one of the things that I love to color is skin, hair, and clothing. So I find my little digis online. I purchase them. I download them into the computer, into my iPad, and I can color from there. Now, one of my favorite artists is Krista Smith. I have all of her images. I was on her Patreon, and I think she closed it down. And I was able to get all of her images before she did that. So I have them all. I love her. This is flowing hair, short hair. I love that. So the one that I found here was called Zombie Skin. I totally flipped when I saw that because I am coloring a zombie. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pull up a black. Like I said, this is not going to be a full-blown tutorial, but I just wanted to show you what this can do. So here are my Copic palettes. So the zombie skin, I want to show you what this does. It literally just kind of does the texture. Let me see what layer I'm in. I'm going to create a new layer just for this. And I can come back in and create that texture. So y'all can't see it very well, but if you zoom in, you can see kind of like blotchiness in there. That's what that zombie skin did. I love that. So I was able to put some in there. Let me go back and erase this here. Okay, so that's that. And then too, I found these little glittery effects using this brush here called Glimmer, I believe it was. So let me see, materials. No, luminous. So I found this by mistake, and I'm like, oh, I could have used that on my little wings, because what I did here with the wings was I just used a Posca pen and tried to make it look sparkly. But the Posca pen was too big, so I was able to come in here and just kind of do that number, and it kind of puts the sparkle in there. But I only wanted the sparkle like right in here, so it worked just perfectly. Yeah, I wish I would have done that before I printed it, because anyway, I just love it. So that's just another thing that I did. And I'm working on a third one now. This is going to be a zombie, another zombie. And I've got her almost finished. So here is my reference card. This is one I found on Pinterest by Wendy Ramlakan or something like that. Ramlakan, I don't know. But it's super cute. I'm going to finish coloring this. So what I did here, she actually has a blog, and I was able to get the entire palette of the colors that she used. So I went ahead and wrote them down on here, and I was able to use the exact same colors, and it's going to look just like hers, except that I did change the legs a little bit. So I'm going to be coloring this one and finishing up her eyeballs, her ears, and then her other arm. I can show you how I do that right now, even though this is not going to be a full-blown tutorial, but just to give you an idea of how simple this is, especially for my friends that color. If you have an iPad, you're going to love this. Okay, so right here, what I've done is I kind of blotched samples of the colors from these for the skim. I've got YG 97, 95, 93, 91, G20, and YG 21, and that's what these are in order. So I'm going to use this darker color, and all I have to do is kind of just hold it and copy it, and it picks up over here, it picks up that color. So that's going to be on my brush. So I'm going to go over to my markers. Let's see which one I was using. There's one that I like to use that's like a round brush. That's not it. It's calligraphy. Nope. I really need to, let's see. I have a recent, there it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here. Let me see what layer I'm in. That's a good layer. Okay. I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to use the marker like I would a Copic and just kind of go down where I'm going to put the shadows. She's got shadows under her fingers. And then I'm going to take my next lighter color and I'm going to go next to that. I know I just went over her hair, but I'm going to show you how I fix that as well. This does take a little longer than coloring with Copic because I can get this image color like in 5 or 10 minutes. But like I said, since I'm having to mass produce these, it's just easier for me to do this and take the time to do it than to have to color each one individually and use up all my ink and having to buy refills. Okay, then I've got the really pale color here. And I'm going to fill that out, the rest of it in. I just came out of the line, but that's okay. I think I'm going to use that really, really light color here for her fingernail. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the next set of brushes here. This is the blender. And I'm going to use my soft blend brush here. And I can make it smaller or larger. I'm going to keep it kind of there. Because the smaller it is, the more control you have. The larger it is, the more diluted the paint's going to be. It is so easy. So one of the things that I don't like is that it does take a lot of color off really fast. So I always do several layers. And I do like the one that has the airbrush. It gives it a really soft effect. But again, when you color and you blend, it all disappears. And you just have to keep building layer on top of layer. Like I said, I am not a pro. And I'm sure that there's a way. And like I said, I just do what works for me. So there she is. I'm going to come back and do a second layer. I'm going to come over here, layer number 5, and go ahead and do that all over again. So I'm going to deepen the color. Okay, what's happening is that when I put the marker over it twice, I get a saturated area, and I'm going to try to avoid that. I'm doing this really quick just for your benefit. So a lot of times what I'll do, like when I travel, I love to take my colored pencils with me because that's just how I relax, you know. But it's a little difficult trying to do that at the airport when you're waiting for a flight for 3 hours and you've got to pull out this big old box of pencils and you don't have any place to lay it and so on. And I'm not one of those people that like to hog up a table when I know there's so many people out there at the airport that need to sit down, they're working, or they may have their families. So I'd rather sit on the floor to do this. So anyway, it's just a little hard. Okay, so now I'm going to blend it all out again. This way I'm trying to push the color back into the shadow area. Maybe I'll make this a little smaller. That's good enough for me. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up this color here. Now I'm gonna copy the color that's already on here. So I'm gonna go in here and get this really deep color that's in her face. And I'm gonna pull up that zombie skin. Here it is. I'm trying to use it again. And I'm just gonna kind of go in here and create a little bit of texture while I darken her arms there. Okay, that looks even to me. Now I'm gonna go back in and just erase everything. Oops, I've got that glimmery thing again. Let's see, I'm gonna go to inking and I'm gonna use my technical pen. And I'm just going to widen the tip and clean up the areas where I went outside the line. And I'm going to clean up the black in this area here. So this is not on this layer. Anyway, again, this is not a tutorial. I'm just going to show you how I do this. I will show you a different one later. I may do a coloring for next week's video. Go back to layer 4. Just erase all the stuff I messed up. Oops, I need to get a line in there too. So I'm just gonna finish working on her. I just need to deepen the shadows in her hair. And I do need to color her eye and her ears and her mouth. And then I will be plotting these and printing them so that I can make the cards and they'll come out like this. So anyway, I wanted to show that to you. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, if you're interested in like a full-blown tutorial of how I color a digi, let me know. And if you have anything in mind, let me know and I'll see what I have. But in the meantime, I'm having a blast. So today I'm going to be kitting this particular kit since I've got her all done. And I'm going to, so this is what I do. So this is the one that I made, and I do cut all of this stuff out on my silhouette. I make all of my little labels and everything on my silhouette, and then I cut everything out, put it in a bag, and just have them ready for class. But this is what I do, and this is what takes all my time. But anyway, it's fun, and I enjoy doing it. It's part of crafting. It's part of therapy. And God knows we all need it right now if you're listening to the news. So again, let me know if what you want to see, if you want to do a close-up face, if you want to do a full-blown digi that's all dressed up. I've got tons of them. But until next time, happy crafting.